This is a cheap keyboard, and today I'm going to turn it into possibly an endgame worthy keyboard. So keep watching to figure out how. Now if you're thinking, hey, this board just looks like a regular old budget 65% board, then you'd be right. This board is the Gamakay TK68, and there's really not too much special. So if there's nothing special, then why would I watch this video? Well, because we're going to be doing some pretty insane mods to this to get it sounding great. The best part is, because this board is so average, you can follow along. So without further ado, I'm just going to pop this bad boy open. There's just some little plastic flaps on the back that I got open with a screwdriver. And then I'm going to take off the wire that connects the PCB with the battery. Not all boards have this, but this one does because it is Bluetooth. And after that, we're free to start modding. The first thing I did was went in the case and cut out all the unnecessary plastic. So that would be the standoffs and all these little plastic lines that are running along the case. I did it and forgot to record it, so I just used another YouTuber's footage, so thanks to Flurples for that. Now, because I did cut off the standoffs, or those little plastic cylinders that were supporting the board, that means the board now has nothing to set on. So what I'm actually going to be doing is a gummy O-ring mount. But you might be thinking to yourself, hey, that doesn't really look like a gummy O-ring. Well, again, you would be right. This is a PS2 wire, and I'm using this and wrapping it around the board, as this case has a lot of extra space and a regular gummy O-ring actually didn't fill the void enough. So it pretty much works the same way, and it maybe is just a little bit stiffer and less bouncy than a gummy O-ring. Now, although I do have a new mounting method, this case is still really pretty hollow. So what am I going to be using to fill it? I could use foam, silicone, really anything that can fit inside a keyboard. Well, I'm actually going to try out some tinfoil. So this is a sheet of tinfoil I got, and it has about 5 layers roughly, and tinfoil is much more dense than the plastic, so this is going to create a more full sound. I'm also going to be doing the penny mod and running pennies along the bottom of the case just to fill it up a little bit more and create a more dense premium sound. As you guys can see, the penny mod is now done. Now what I'm going to be doing is putting a layer of tape over it. This just makes sure none of the pennies rattle and also keeps the board a little bit safer from sparks or anything like that. At this point, I'm going to put a layer of tinfoil over my board, and I would definitely recommend putting some electrical tape over it, or you could have a risk of hurting your PCB. Now before we put the board back together, I am going to swap out the keycaps and switches for something a little nicer. So I went with the Gateron Oil Kings and some Akko Blue on White keycaps. Alright guys, now it is time to reassemble the board, but what I'm going to do first is throw a layer of foam in there. For this, I'm actually going to be using some tissues. Tissues are a really great cheap foam that everyone has, and they definitely provide your board a little bit of a deeper sound signature, and they're going to give a little bit of cushioning in between the tinfoil and the PCB. Again, still, I put some electrical tape in before I went for that final assembly that you're seeing here. Definitely don't want to have that tinfoil right on your PCB. Alright, and this is the final board. Or is it? Although I do think this looks really clean, I just think it looks a little bit too plain, a little too white, a little bit too modern. So I think we should go for a hydrodip. Alright guys, so we are in the great outdoors. I know, crazy, I didn't know keyboard people were allowed to go outdoors. But as you can see, I am here in the grass, and we are going to do a hydrodip. And if you don't know what a hydrodip already is, it's basically you get a bucket of water, and you put some spray paint on top, and then you dip the object in whatever it is that you want to dip in. And for me, that's just going to be the case of the keyboard. So definitely do not dip your whole keyboard in, or of course it will break because it's water, and you know, electronics and water don't go so well. So, I think I'm just going to go for it. Hope it goes well. Now I am going to spray paint a few keycaps here. I'm going to spray paint them gold because I think that will match the theme really well. If you are using gold, make sure to shake it up very well, because if you do not, then it'll come out kind of clumpy and will not look nice. After I finished spray painting them, I also threw a clear coat on the keycaps and the case. And without further ado, time for reveal. Sheesh, this thing looks clean. Wow. It's just absolutely awesome in my opinion. I don't think the hydrodip could have gone any better. And I also added these gold keycaps, which I think look really nice. And instead of ordering artisans and spending a bunch of money, I just did it myself with some spray paint. Now, of course, artisan is going to give you better quality, but hey, I think this is pretty cool. So without further ado, it's time for a sound test. Before I do that, this is my first video, and if you are enjoying it, hitting the like button and subscribing would mean a ton. Leave a comment, something like that would be really cool. So here's a sound test. Now, before you click off the video, I am also going to do a clacky version of this build so you can hear what it would sound like if I didn't use the SA Profile keycaps, because that does definitely change the sound a lot.